Dia Arum Kusumaningsih ya.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Time for you for 15 minutes. 10 minutes for presentation and the rest 5 minutes for discussion. Okay.
Okay, thanks to Mr. Amiruddin from the time given. Introduce my name is Dia Arum Kusumaningsih. I'm a student of Master Program of Environmental Science, Universitas Diponegoro. I will present my paper entitled Diversity and Ex-situ Conservation Effort for Budidaya Eucalyptus auratus under 1776 in the Soloraya, Central Java. The outline consists of 4 parts. There are 1 introduction, 2 methods, 3 result and discussion, and 4 conclusion. 1. The introduction. Budidaya belong to Psitticidae family. The scientific name Eucalyptus auratus. The bird is a species of parrot with a band beak whose distribution area is in eastern Indonesia. Female Nuribayan are red, while males are green. The IUCN Red List category and the List Concern or LC. Nuribayan is included in the Appendix 2 animal category on CITES, where the extinction of this animal is not threatened but could become extinct if there is no regulation in its rates. Nuribayan consists of 9 subspecies, 7 of which are in Indonesia. The 9 subspecies include Eucalyptus auratus rosemary, E. auratus arvensis, E. auratus ridley, E. auratus cornelia, E. auratus auratus, E. auratus polychoros, E. auratus biaki, E. auratus magliviari, and E. auratus solomensis. The red bird is in Indonesia. The figure in below, the female Nuribayan are red and the green Nuribayan is male. The rules protection of Nuribayan, number 1 is law number 5, 1990 about the conservation of natural resources and ecosystem. Number 2, government regulation number 7 in 1999 about of the preservation of plants and animals. Then the 3rd Minister of Forestry regulation number 106 in 2018 about on 2nd chain number 20 in 1918 about the protected species of plants and animals. Then the problems of Nuribayan are, the one is poaching. Nuribayan population tend to decrease due to poaching. Based on data from BirdLife International, the population of Nuribayan is currently 7,300 to 51,000 individuals with a trend of decreasing population number. The number 2 is the illegal trade. There are domestic and foreign illegal trade. And then the 3rd is habitat destruction, include deforestation, forest fire, and land conversion. This research purposes to knowing the diversity of the parrot subspecies in the Soloraya area and the conservation effort that have been carried out. Then 2, the methods. Use qualitative descriptive analysis method, and then the research location was in the Soloraya area of Central Java Province. The primary data were collected by direct observation of the Nuribayan and interviews with the breeders. Then the secondary data were obtained through a literature study on Nuribayan. Data collection on 5 breeders, then there are TW, FA, CVGBI, CVRAL, and UDSP. And then the 3rd result and conclusion consists of 1, diversity of Nuribayan, and 2, ex-situ conservation of Nuribayan. The diversity of Nuribayan, there are 4 Nuribayan subspecies in 5 activity in Soloraya. There are Eucalyptus auratus rosemary, Auratus arvensis, Auratus ridley, and Auratus cornelia. This table is the population in 5 captivity in Soloraya. GPI has all 4 subspecies. There are Rosemary, Cornelia, Arwanthus, and Ridley. Then the 4 other only has 1 or 2 subspecies. Aeroratus rosemary is owned by the 5 breeders and is the most popular subspecies of the Nuribayan subspecies due to the most beautiful full color among other subspecies. Eclectus Rhodatus cornelia and Rhodatus ridley only found in the GPI captivity. These species are rare, difficult to obtain, and also both types are very susceptible to disease and difficult to breed. And then this is the figure of the morphological differences in the subspecies in female of Nuribayan. There are any differences in chest, color in chest is differences, like in the figure. Then the figure below above in left is kind of Eclectus rosemary in RAL. Then the right is Eclectus cornelia on GPI. Then the figure below left is Eclectus ridley on GPI, and the right is Eclectus arwanthus on FA. Then the 2 is ex situ conservation of Nuribayan. Form of ex situ conservation activities include maintenance, breeding, assessment research and development, rehabilitation of animals, and the rescue of plant and animal species. In the study, the form of ex situ conservation activity used is breeding in the form of captivity. Captivity or captive breeding is regulated based on Minister of Forestry Regulation number 19 of 2005. The purpose of captivity itself is to obtain specimen of wild plant and animals in a guaranteed number, quality, purity of species, and genetic diversity for the benefit of utilization to reduce direct pressure on the population in nature, as well as to obtain administrative and physical certainty that the use of wild plant or animal specimen. The requirement for maintaining birds in captivity must meet several aspects, namely the housing, feed, hold, and reproduction aspect. Then the housing aspect, feed aspect, health aspect, and reproduction aspect. The housing aspect, in the table, there are a specification of Nuribayan kids in the 5 Soloraya captivity. Any differences on size? Then the cage construction, cage facility, nest form, almost same. From the observation, the distance between kids in the 5 captive units is close together. This can affect the activity of Nuribayan. It is better if there is a divider between one kids and another to avoid stress disturbance to Nuribayan. The figure below is a sample of captive kids in GPI. In natural, Nuribayan feeds on nuts, seeds, leaf buds, flowers, and nectar obtained from the treetop. The type of feed for Nuribayan is in the form of seed. Nuribayan like a sunflower seed. Corn, watermelon, and banana were the main feed for the breeders. In the FA captive unit has more varied type of feed given. There is the addition of pellets and brown rice grain to the feed given to Nuribayan. Pellet is a trigger for Nuribayan last to immediately lay eggs, and the brown rice is given so that the parrot's body is strong. In the SBF captivity, there were additional color vegetables to meet the fiber needs for Nuribayan, besides corn, and also to maintain the fertility of the broodstock so that they can lay eggs immediately. The difference in the variety of types of feed in the 5 captive units affects the productivity of broodstock because the availability of feed can affect the growth, reproduction, and number of surviving animals. Then the health aspect, the flight captain unit are assisted by keepers in caring for the Nuribayan with the number of keepers. For RAL, FATW, and SPF is 1 person, and the GPA has more than 1 keeper. GPA has 4 keepers. To prevent Nuribayan from getting sick, the captive feeding unit provides different vitamins, each of which has its own belief in the type of vitamin that is given. They also pay attention to the cleanliness of the cage and feed container by regularly cleaning it every day. These breeders also check the health of the Nuribayan to the veterinarian if vitamin administration is not able to treat Nuribayan disease.
2 minutes more, Mrs. Dia.
Yes?
2 minutes more. 2 minutes more.
Okay. The type of disease that easily attacks Nuribayan is Gilat or Chain. Gilat disease is characterized by the tinted lack of appetite and wild dropping. This is the reproduction aspect. From the table, can we see that the FA captivity is the most productivity. There are 20 chicks during 20 and 20. And there is the conclusion, the captive unit Suraya Selat Java has 4 subspecies. There are Fosmeri, Auransis, Cornelia, and Ridley. The captive unit that has the 4 subspecies is KPI. Then the ex situ conservation effort carried by RLI, KPI, FATW, and SPF are sufficient to meet the standard of captive techniques for management of housing, feed, health, and feeding aspect. Ex situ conservation effort in the Suraya area are expected to encourage the management of ex situ conservation to maintain the species purity and diversity of the Nuribayan, thereby reducing the pressure on the population in nature. That was my presentation. Less and more, I apologize. Please suggest improvement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Dia Arum Kusmaningrium. Yeah, your presentation is interesting enough, good enough. And then you have presented on time also. So now it is time for discussion. I want to invite each participant to ask questions. So time for participant. Yeah, please.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Amir,
Yes.
for Mbak Arum.
Yeah, okay.
Mbak Arum, if I'm not wrong, in PPT slide 3, there is a word CITES, CITES.
Yes.
I don't know what is it. What is CITES, Mbak Arum?
Okay, thank you, Miss Yuli. I try to answer. The CITES is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species in Wild Fauna and Flora. It's an international agreement between government. The CITES is aims to ensure that the international trade in specimen of wild animals and plants does not threaten the survival of species. That's the answer, Miss Yuli. I hope you can puas with my answer.
Satisfaction. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yuli. Your question is very relevant and focused. Furthermore, if there are any participant who want to ask more questions, please.
May I ask a question, Mr. Amir?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Mbak Yuli, I saw term IUCN red list on
Mbak
your
Arum.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Mbak Arum.
Mbak Arum.
Mbak Arum, I saw your the term IUCN red list in your presentation. What's the meaning of IUCN red list? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hannah, for the question. I will try to answer. The IUCN red list is a kind of critical indicator of the health of the world's biodiversity. The IUCN red list, it provides the information about rank, the population size, habitat, and ecology, and threat to, and then threats and conservation action that will help inform necessary conservation decision. I think that's the mean of the IUCN red list category. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes.
the answer.
Yes, okay, time is up. So thank you for the excellent presentation, Mrs. Dia Arum, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Amiruddin.
Yeah, hopefully your paper will be published in the ICENIS 2020 win proceeding. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Okay, next, I invite the next presenter for paper ID numbers 1766, yeah. Mrs. Yuli Handayani, who will
Yes, Mr.
present. Okay, you will present a paper with the titles what's the effectiveness of domestic wastewater treatment in reducing BOD and COD levels. A literature review. Okay, time for you. 15 minutes. You have time. 15 minutes. 10 minutes for presentation, and the rest 5 minutes for discussion. So please present with excellent performance. Yeah, time for you.
Thank you, Mr. Amiruddin. Let me share screen. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Yuli Handayani, a student at the Master of Environmental Science, Universitas Diponegoro. I'm going to present my paper entitled The Effectiveness of Domestic Wastewater Treatment in Reducing BOD and COD Levels, a literature review. This paper consists of 4 parts: introduction, method, result and discussion, and conclusion. Domestic wastewater is liquid waste generated from household activities. Domestic wastewater can be in the form of urine, feces, waste from bathing activities, and leftover food and drinks from kitchen activities. Personal care products that are used during bathing may contain contaminants that can be harmful to aquatic organisms. 80% of the use of clean water by the community becomes wastewater, which must be managed before discharging it to surface water bodies, so that it does not cause disturbances to the environment of the water body, public health, and environmental aesthetics. Access to proper sanitation is the right of every citizen because it affects the level of health and quality of life. The SDGs have targeted the development of access to proper and safe sanitation for all Indonesians. The government, through the strategy of the Minister of Public Works and Public Housing, or PUPR, 2015 until 2019, is targeting the fulfillment of access to proper sanitation for as many as 85% of households. In 2019, this target has not been achieved. Only 74.6% of households have access to proper sanitation. Following up on this, the Ministry of PUPR has increased the target of access to proper sanitation to 90% by 2020 until 2024. The Ministry of PUPR has increased the target of access to proper sanitation to 90% through the provision of facilities and infrastructure for domestic wastewater management systems with an indication of funding of 140 trillion rupiah. The amount spent is not cheap. It's deeply regretted if the construction is not effective and becomes a monument. Therefore, appropriate technology is needed to effectively treat domestic waste. Then, this study wants to compare the effectiveness of various types of domestic wastewater treatment reactors in reducing water pollutants. In the study, BOD and COD. Method. The literature studied in this research is scientific articles from Indonesian journals accredited SINTA and international journals indexed by Scopus since 2018. There are various indicators of water pollution that can be used as a reference of determining policies and anticipatory actions, so that pollution can be controlled, including BOD and COD in water. If the pollutant is to be released into surface water bodies, then the amount must meet the quality standards. The BOD parameter is the amount of oxygen needed to decompose organic compounds in water. If the BOD level in the water is high, it means that the water is of poor quality, while the COD parameter is the amount of oxygen needed by microbes to destroy organic matter. In other words, high levels of COD in water indicate poor water quality. Results and discussion. Khalif, Sutrisno, and Prasetyo observed the reduction in BOD and COD pollutant levels by designing a laboratory-scale MBBR reactor. The media used were pumice and coldness. Samples were taken from domestic wastewater in Kembong, Surabaya. Based on observation, the MBBR reactor with pumice and coldness media was able to reduce BOD and COD levels as shown in the table. Then Lestari and Rohani conducted a study to find out how much the work efficiency of wastewater treatment plant in the X Reservoir Jakarta. The wastewater treatment plant was built using MBBR technology with a capacity of 7 liters per second. The ability to reduce BOD and COD in the dry season and rainy season can be seen in the table. Furthermore, Sulianto, Kurniati, and Hapsari designed a filtration model with 3 variations in the arrangement of the filter media. The filtration unit used is a downflow system, namely a system with a flow from top to bottom. From the table, we can see the decrease in BOD and COD levels after filtration with S1, S2, and S3. Lestari, Darjati, and Marlik test the BOD and COD content in the domestic liquid waste of the steel industry in Surabaya. The research was conducted by adding papaya seed biocoagulant in the processing of wastewater samples. Papaya seeds contain tannin compounds, which can have natural properties because they don't have metal in their structure, and their effectiveness as a coagulant is always optimal. The doses for the addition of biocoagulant are 1 gram, 2 grams, and 3 grams. The decrease in BOD and COD for each dose can be seen in the table. Wardani, Amizera, and Prima examined black water waste treatment by sampling at the Sukawinatan landfill, Palembang. The reactor used is upflow anaerobic sludge blanket arm-filled anaerobic digester, W8. After processing, there is a decrease in BOD and COD according to the table. Subsequent research was conducted by Sujono et al. A laboratory scale device is designed from a PC reactor with a diameter of 100 millimeters and height of 100 centimeters, called DR100. Then the reactor is filled with soil. Wastewater samples was taken from the Keputih IPLT, or septic tank sludge disposal and treatment of Surabaya. The decrease in BOD and COD with this tool can be seen in the table. Khalif et al. Conducted another study with a different reactor than before. Khalif combines the filtration system with anaerobic baffled reactor, or ABR system. The filtration media used were biopol media and activated carbon. ABR technology uses a suspended system by utilizing 4 compartments as a separator between rooms. The decrease in BOD and COD with this tool can be seen in the table. And the conclusion, from the table, we know the decrease in BOD and COD of 7 reactors. The addition of papaya seed biocoagulant is the most effective reactor to reduce BOD and COD. The levels of BOD and COD produced after the treatment are below the maximum limit by regulation of the Minister of Environmental and Forestry number 68 of 2016 concerning domestic wastewater quality standards, so that it is safe if released into the environment. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. I've done, Mr. Amiruddin.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you, yeah, Miss Yuli Handayani.
You're welcome.
Okay, your presentation is good enough. You have presented on time. And now it is time for audience. I invite each participant to ask question. Yeah, time for audience. Please.
I would like to ask, I like in your presentation information about the size of individual wastewater treatment plants, because this is very important. The higher wastewater treatment plants are stable in the biochemistry processes in the wastewater treatment. So if you combine different sizes of wastewater treatment, you can get on the same technology different outputs, different results. Do you involve this in the research?
Okay. Yes. Please, Ibu Yuli, okay, ya. Yuli, silakan.
Okay, I try to answer, Mr. Please help me if I I can explain in English well. Thank you, Mr. Answer. Saya maaf ya Pak Amir, pakai bahasa Indonesia dulu ya.
Ya, oke.
Saya menangkap pertanyaan dari Mr. Answer bahwa apakah dalam penelitian saya telah membandingkan teknologi yang sama untuk hasil-hasil yang berbeda begitu, kalau tidak salah menangkap. I think in my study I study in the literature review that I get from literature. I get from apa namanya, dari Google Scholar, from Google Scholar. I subject or keyword about domestic wastewater in Indonesia with article that indexed by Sinta and Scopus, and the year is from 2018 until 2021. And I get various technology of wastewater treatment. There is a laboratory scale and wastewater plant. I think that's my answer, Mr. I hope you satisfy.
So I understand that the size of wastewater treatment you didn't involve in the literature review. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, Mr. Amiruddin, can you translate to me?
I asked if or I I mentioned that if I correctly understand that the size of wastewater treatment plant wasn't involved in the literature review.
Ya tentang itu deh, apa namanya literatur reviewnya itu batasan apa ya, batasan size-nya terhadap objek yang dikaji. Tadi pakai Google Scholar ya?
Ya, saya pakai Google
Sinta ya?
Scholar.
Ya.
Google Scholar dengan batasan limbah rumah tangga atau domestic wastewater in Indonesia, dan artikelnya itu yang berindeks Sinta dan Scopus. Jadi objeknya di Indonesia saja.
Yes, the object of study in Indonesia, Mr. Ansor, then the focus of the study is the limbah ya, limbah. Was the
Wastewater.
Wastewaters, but the data get from the Google Scholar and Sinta. Yes, I think it's good question and good answer. So the others audience, if any question, please free to ask. Okay, if there's no question again, so time is up. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Yuli, and then thank you. Thank you for participants. Yeah, Mr. Ansorge, Mr. Ansorge, for your question. The question is very relevant and focused. And then, okay, the next presenters. I invite the next presenter for paper ID number 1795, Miss Gayatri Hana ya, Permanasari, who will present a paper with the title, The Implementation of Environmental Education to Achieve Sustainable Development, literature review ya. Okay, you have 15 minutes, divided 10 minutes for presentation, and the rest 5 minutes for discussion. Yeah, please present with excellent performance. Time for you.
Thank you, Mr. Amiruddin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Gayatri Hana. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm a student at Master Program of Environmental Science, Universitas Diponegoro. Today, I would like to talk you about my study entitled The Implementation of Environmental Education to Achieve Sustainable Development, Literature Review. First, please look at the picture. We start from the bottom. Environmental crises like environmental pollution and degradation arise in different regions due to human activities using the natural resource without considering the sustainability for future generations. To manage it, we have to change people's perspective about interact with the environment. The expert believe that the education, especially environmental education, has an important role to shape individual attitudes and action in dealing with environmental issues. Environmental education that involves the community can build a new environmental ethics, become a culture, so that the sustainable development in a small level or small communities can be achieved. From this picture, I want to show you that in Sustainable Development Goals, which goals 4, quality education, is related to other goals. First, with goal 6, clean water and sanitation, education can improve skills and abilities in using natural resource more sustainably as well as improving sanitation. With goal 7, affordable and clean energy, energy conservation effort, and the availability of renewable energy source can be encouraged through education. With Goal 11, sustainable cities and communities, education can increase community involvement in creating sustainable and disaster resilient cities. With Goal 12, education can change consumption, thereby reducing waste generation. And then with Goal 13, education is a tool for increasing public awareness of the effect of climate change. And last, with Goal 15, education is on effort to improve skills and capacities to support sustainable livelihoods, as well as the preservation of natural resource and biodiversity. To achieve all of that, the Education for Sustainable Development, or ESD approach, is implemented to make a generation that have problem-solving ability, decision-making skills, and attitudes to face local and global challenges. So in this study, the purpose is to analyze how environmental education is applied to achieve sustainable development through ESD approach. This study, I'm using literature review method. I used 20 literatures, have published since 2010 with main substance about environmental education and ESD, and other substance about environmental problems and sustainable development. These are literature I have used. 2 literatures talk about environmental problems. 1 literature talk about sustainable development. And then 9 literature talks about environmental education. And 8 literature talks about ESD, or Education for Sustainable Development. So how are the results? First, the ESD approach is implemented in formal education through environmental learning, which focuses on effort to raise students' awareness, responsibility, and behavior in order to create a clean, healthy, and comfortable environment. And the second, the main idea of ESD builds from environmental education, because environmental education includes behavioral practices that prepare students to make decisions about environmental issues in their communities. Third, environmental education in school is the key to achieve sustainable development, because they have integrated environmental sustainability principles into their curriculum and have made the school environment a learning resource. Fourth, environmental education and ESD are implemented in interdisciplinary field, beginning at the local level, based on community diversity, necessitating additional policies to define local environmental problems that are integrated into schools' curricula. We also found a research gap since each region implementing ESD has different development priorities. This is necessary in order to achieve the goals of implementing environmental education and ESD. Whereas the threat of environmental sustainability now snowballs, for example, pollution that occur in a river that across some regions cannot be resolved only from a community of one region, but requires a role from upstream to downstream. And next, the conclusion are, according to literature reviews and expert opinions, it is critical to conduct research on the implementation of environmental education at school to achieve sustainable development. And then environmental education has the same approach as ESD, which is interdisciplinary, lifelong learning, and prioritizes local culture in observation and solving local to international issues. And then both environmental education and ESD aim to change people's perspective and behavior. Next up from this picture, by an environmental education which is applied at school makes 3 aspects of benefits. In economics, so, school should use energy and resource efficiently. And then in social aspect, as shown by behavior, there is improvement in societal attitudes, especially about concern for the environment. And then in environmental benefits, schools are involved in water and energy conservation and also decrease amount of waste generated to landfill. Well, that is all from me. Thank you very much for your great attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Rasli, for your presentation dealing with the tourism GSR model during.
Excuse me. Environmental education.
Environmental education.
Yeah.
Yes, environmental education. Oh yeah, okay. So, okay, I think this is the current issue also, yes, so very interesting topic. You have presented on time. And now it is time for audience. Please, I invite each participant to ask questions. The time for audience. Yes, time for audience. Please, free to ask.
Sorry, sir. Can I ask the question?
Yeah. Ibu Diah ya. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Ms. Hana, I want to ask you one question about the sustainable development. How three pillars of sustainable development are easily applied in a community? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Diah Arum. In simply by applying environmental education at school and then practice in community living, school resident or people at school can be an example for the community to care about the environment. So it can involve the community to practice all they learn at school and practice in life, daily life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course, please.
Okay, thank you. And it is a very interesting presentation about education, environmental education formal. How about in Ms. Hannah, in your literature review, if you get some information about traditional education or non-formal education about environment, especially like some culture or some traditional attitude from family or village that could be assigned how to make a respect to the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Augusto. In this study, I concerned in formal education, but actually ESD, Education for Sustainable Development or Environmental Education is start from the local level, from the community, because every region has different characteristic of society and environmental issues. So if it practical by traditional education, it may be because start from the local communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Ana.
You're welcome.
Okay, next, please. The other participants. Okay, the others. Okay, yeah, thank you, Miss Gayatri, for good presentations. Hopefully your paper will be published in the ICENIS 2021 proceedings. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amir.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, next presenters. I invite the next presenter for paper ID number 1979, Miss Rahasi Humsona, who will present a paper, a manuscript with the title Tourism TSR Model During the COVID-19 Pandemic Literature Review. You have 15 minutes, 10 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for discussions. Time for you. Mr. Rahasli Homsona. Is it here?
I think he's not yet joined this meeting.
Oh, no, not join the meetings.
And his teammates too.
Okay,
I think we
okay.
can skip.
Just yeah. Okay, okay. So the next, Mr. Praygot, Paul Nganga,
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay, my student here.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm cool. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have time. You have 15 minutes, 10
Mm.
minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Is
thank
everyone
you.
seeing my slideshow?
Mm.
Is it seen?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Pregat Bomganga, and my research paper title is a survey of students' awareness on food waste problem and their behavior towards food wastage, the case of Diponegro University. And the content will be introduction, objective of the study, material and method used, research results and discussion, as well as conclusion and recommendation. Starting with introduction, globally, about 1/3 of the food produced end up lost and through the entire food supply chain. And this has a potential impact on environment as well as economic and socially. And country-wise, Indonesia is listed as the second largest food waster behind Saudi Arabia, which is estimated to dispose around 300 kilograms per person yearly. And Semarang as a city is estimated to dispose around 36% of the waste in the landfill, which composed of food waste. And coming to the institutional level, universities is considered as micro cities, so they have a contribution for generating food waste or solid waste. And also university contain the group of young people, which studies suggest that they are more likely to produce more food waste as a consumer. So this raised the concern to go through the university like Undip which is also represented by majority of young people. And previous studies indicated that around 50 meter cubic per day is generated from the University of Diponegro, and it contributes up to 1% of the entire solid waste generated in the city, the entire city. And among of this composition, 40% is composed of food waste. So this raised the concern to examine student awareness and the knowledge on food waste problem and its consequences, as well as their behavior toward food waste. And I deployed a theory of planned behavior as a baseline for this study, and also I apply the partialist square to model the food waste. And these are research objectives. The general objective of this research is to assess the awareness and knowledge of university students concerning the food waste problem and its impact and their behavior towards food waste. And specific objectives is to identify if and to what extent students' awareness in terms of environment and social, economic, on food waste problem and its impact can affect the intention and behavior towards food waste. As well as the second objective is to establish and evaluate the importance of performance matrix or MAP analysis in order to identify the construct with high or low level of importance and high or low level of performance. And this construct emanated from the classical theory of planned behavior, which is this one. This is original theory of the planned behavior, contain about 5 components. And on the right is an extended model, which I developed for this study. I hope everyone is seeing it. Is it? Okay. So the component is attitude towards the behavior, subjective norms, perceived behavior control, intention, and behavior. So in the extension, I split the attitude toward the behavior to a moral attitude and individual concern towards food waste, and the subjective norms, as well as perceived behavior control and intention to avoid or reduce food waste, awareness on environmental and social consequence of food waste. We have economic awareness on the consequence of food waste, as well as correct intention and correct behavior towards food waste. Material and method for this study used a sample of 100 students, specifically undergraduate students, and I drawn like 32 students from the environmental engineering faculty of engineering, and as well as 36 students from the communication science, and 32 students from food technology, faculty of animal and agriculture science. The technique used for sampling is proportional random sampling, and a survey was implemented in the period between February and March through online questionnaire, and the design of the questionnaire was English and translated to Bahasa so that to help the respondent to understand. And data analysis was executed using the structure equation modeling technique using the software called SmartFields version 3. And some of the data were descriptively analyzed by SPSS version 20. And the respondents were asked to indicate their level of agreement or disagreement from the several statement which was administered in 5-point scale Likert. from strongly disagree to strongly agree. So these are the results, and the participant involved 46% of the male student, 54% of female student, and majority of the age was 66%, composed of the age between 18 to 21, as well as 20% age between 22 to 25, and 26 and above, 14%. On using the peerless model, there is validity test that it has to undergo. So there are two types of tests: is measurement model and structural model. And for measurement model, I look through constructive validity and reliability. And the factor which I was looking into was loading, composite reliability, average variance extracted, chronic batch alpha, and row A. So from this table, you can see that all the results are in line with the requirement. For loading, is required to exceed 0.5, which is enough and fit and very reliable. For composite reliability also is required to exceed 0.7. So you can see all of the results were reliable for the measurement model, as well as discriminant validity also is supposed to exceed for each individual construct in the model. When you measure diagonally and horizontally and vertically, you see the top value is higher than the rest. So this proves that the measurement model satisfies the requirement for all of the construct. Coming to the structural model, to assess the model, three factors were observed: is R square, which is represented by predictive accuracy, and we have Q square, which is represented by predictive relevance, and the path coefficients, which show the different relationship developed in the study. So these hypotheses were developed in the model itself. So Z and Z represented by each construct in the model. So the result show that Z1.
Could you explain my?
Sorry.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
2 minutes more, play.
Oh, 2 minutes.
2 minutes more. Yeah.
Okay.
The rest time, yeah, 2 minutes more. Okay, nice.
2 minutes remained.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go through the. Okay, so for the construct number 1, which is moral attitude, the result didn't show any significant result for the relationship between moral attitude and intention to avoid student intention to avoid or reduce food waste, as well as the behavior towards food waste. And coming to the second construct was individual concern towards food waste. The results show a significant result, and so it was supported. The hypothesis was supported. Coming to Z3 also, which is represented by subjective norms, shows a significant result, as well as perceived behavior shows also significant result for both intention and student intention, and as well as correct behavior towards food waste. And coming to the predictive relevance and predictive accuracy also have exceeded the required amount, is over 50%. And so for the importance of performance matrix, I've come to identify that the construct which to explain the student intention to avoid or reduce food waste is the construct with high level of importance is awareness on economic consequence towards food waste, as well as perceived behavior control. So in order to explain student intention to avoid or reduce food waste is attributed by their awareness on economic consequence towards food waste, as well as perceived behavior. On the other hand, for the other construct, target construct, correct behavior towards food waste, in order to explain this, there was three factors. Is number one is perceived behavior. Perceived behavior control is attribute to explain student correct behavior towards food waste, followed by this is subjective norms, as well as awareness on environmental and social consequences. So for conclusion, this study has confirmed the essential use of behavioral theories such as TPB in determining and explaining the waste behavior, as well as the role played by partialist square structural model approach as an essential tool for analyzing food waste, as well as student awareness on the consequences of food waste played an important role in student intention to avoid or reduce food waste, as it was shown that it can impose both negative and positive effect in motivating individual behavior or intention towards food waste, as well as modifying their behavior towards food waste. And on the importance of performance matrix, we identify that perceived behavior control and the awareness for economic consequence of food waste are the main determinant and dimension to explain student intention to avoid or reduce food waste, as well as student perceived behavior, subjective norm, and the awareness of environmental and social consequence are the main determinant to explain the correct behavior towards food waste. So lastly is recommendation which I come out with. To raise student awareness on food waste problem and modifying their behavior towards food waste, the following should be done in the higher learning institutions. Number one, existing policies regarding to general solid waste management in the university setting should be improved to address specifically food waste, as well as university should prepare periodically specific international and local programs and activities that focus on waste reduction and prevention, food waste reduction and prevention. But also university students should be encouraged to attend and join different programs and activities that dedicated to discourage and prevent food waste generation. And lastly is to the government that the existing laws and regulation related to waste management should be modified through the establishment of specified reduction regulatory approach, such as laws and standards that aim at inducing food waste in order to prevent food waste behavior through penalty provision to the responsible actors. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Pre.
Yeah.
Your topic presentation very interesting, dealing with the students' awareness on food waste problem in Universitas Diponegoro by case method, and you have presented on time.
Yes.
So now it is time for discussion. I invite each audience, each participant to ask question. The time for the audience. Please.
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Excuse me, I saw at your presentation, the age of respondent start from 18, is it right? What is the consideration? Thank you.
Sorry, it's not clear. Your question is not clear to me.
The age of respondent start from
Eh,
18,
Oh,
is it
age.
right?
Okay, okay. Wait. You mean here?
Yeah. Is it, yeah.
Mm.
What is the consideration?
Yeah, for this one, I looked up on previous studies. So I saw many of these studies with literature started with this age, because this one, 18, is considered as age of majority. So that's why I go through this similar age.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yes. Okay, next. Next participants.
Excuse me. So shall I stop sharing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just stop sharing. Ray, I curious also with your research. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you explain why do you use a KISS method? Yeah. Not survey methods. Yeah. What is the specific reason for you to use KISS method? Yeah. KISS study method. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. What draws me, because I break down from country level to city level up to the institutional level. So I saw the reason that because I'm part of this university, so I see the reason that let me see how far we have gone through, if there's any awareness on this matter, because this problem is still there and is not solved already. So that's why I was drawn to work on, to choose students of Undi. So that's what the reason behind.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Ray. Time is up. Okay, and thank you for your good presentation. Hopefully, your paper will be published, yeah, in the ICENIS 2021 proceedings. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So next, I invite the next presenter, but we return to the previous presenter, yeah, Ms. Rahasli. Rahasli here? Rahasli? For paper ID numbers, papers numbers 1799, yeah, 1799. Okay. We'll present a manuscript with the title Tourism TSR Model During the COVID-19 Pandemic, yeah, literature review. Okay. You have 15 minutes divided into 10 minutes for presentation and the rest 5 minutes for discussion. So please, time for you.
Can you share my PPT PowerPoint?
Yeah. Okay. Share by yourself or by co-host?
By co-host.
Okay.
Thank you.
Co-host, can you help Mr. Rahasli, Mrs. Rahasli, to share
I had
PPT?
sent my video too.
Yes,
Maybe you
problem.
can operate
yes,
my
of
video.
course.
Hmm.
Okay.
My video presentation.
Hmm. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, but we can open the video and we just can't open the PPT. Is that all right?
How about PowerPoint? Miss?
PowerPoint.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to present my paper with the title Tourism CSR Model During the COVID-19 Pandemic. My name is Sona from Universitas 11 Maret. The table of content, point 1 about introduction, and then methodology, result and discussion, and finally conclusion. Introduction. Society and corporation are closely related. However, the higher number of corporations developing leads to a wider social gap and the damage of surrounding environment. The corporation orientation to profit merely is considered ignoring business ethic. Corporate social responsibility, or CSR, refers to a concept that business is responsible for the wider society interest, rather than the organization financial interest only. Pandemic condition has led to the decrease in tourist number, so that CSR vision and mission were also positively adjusted, with the attempt of increasing the number of visitors. This research aimed to study of tourism model during COVID-19 pandemic. About methodology. The process of literature review are identifying research problem, then developing research protocol of literature review, then determining location and database of thinking as the searching area, selecting relevant thinking and research product, and then selecting quality thinking and research product, extracting data from individual study, and then synthesizing the result using meta-synthesis or narrative method, and finally displaying the result. Result of the research so that COVID-19 pandemic condition conceived through risk society theory. Theoreticians raise reflexivity concept to see abilities of responding to and anticipating risk. CSR is business policy guiding company to integrate social and environmental problem into the business vision, mission, and strategy, and their interaction with stakeholders. Strategy developing and CSR implementation are intended to identify and to manage stakeholder expectation. Discussion of this literature review, safety and health orientation that can restrain people from doing mobility contribute to the decrease in number of tourist visits. To improve the number of tourist visits, CSR model needed is to create a safe tourist destination. From literature study, it can be found two important concepts to develop tourism CSR model that are reflexivity and stakeholder. Reflexivity is the concept suggested by Ulrich Beck when offering risk society theory. Stakeholder concept suggested by Freeman and Dulrecher is related to CSR in tourism. Also, from literature study to CSR management model are found using two keywords. Firstly, reflexivity, linking individual and organization values. And secondly, a stakeholder model for emerging technology. Tourism CSR model during pandemic was developed by trying to combine the two models. Reflexivity model built on premise that it is not appropriate to assign responsibility to organization, as if organization has personality. Decision is not made by organization, but organizational policy and decision. Reflexivity suggested by Beck point to personal reflexivity in which the mature member of modern society question life pattern and social moral value. Social value underlie that with risk inherent, minimized or distributed. It is important for a society to cope with and minimize the problem to occur in life. Stakeholder model for technology offers stakeholder analysis in organization intended to implement CSR, particularly in relation to new and developing technology. This focus is very important. Recalling the development is environment management and information technology and the ways to balance ethical, social, and cultural effect and commercial factor. Stakeholder can be adapted to deal with the worsening situation by creating new technology or way. Can analyze the appropriate stakeholder and CSR activity during COVID-19 pandemic, consisting of employee, formal and informal leader, tourism performer related to transportation, accommodation, and destination, people living in tourism area, and tourists. From the two model, a tourism CSR model can be developed based on stakeholder reflexivity. Reflexivity model over 5 stages of reflexivity. Finally, conclusion, the stakeholder of tourism CSR consists of company employee, formal and informal leader, tourism performer related to transportation, accommodation and destination, people living in tourism area, and tourists. Stakeholder reflexivity can result in decision to revise the more health protocol-oriented program. The stakeholder social practice in implementing the tourism CSR program can build an image as safe destination so that can increase the number of tourists. That's all my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Ms. Rahesli, Hamsona, thank you for your good presentation, I think. So, okay, you have presented on time, Now, okay, now it is time for discussion. So please, each participant to ask for Mrs. Rahesli, time for participants. Yeah, please, time for participant to ask some question or some another argument? Okay, participants.
Within a question, Mr.
Oh yeah. Okay. Look like no question asked from participants, so it is blessing for presenter for Mrs. Rahasli, yeah.
Okay.
So I think presentation time is up. So once again, I would like to thank for your good presentations.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, okay. So this is the last presenter, I think. So yeah, co-host, this is the last presentation. Is another.
Before we end this session, to all the participants, please open the mic because we will take a picture together.
Okay, I want to say something first.
Okay.
Before get captured. So to all participants, thank you for all. You all have presented some people with unique, relevant, and belongs to a specific novelty. So very impressive. Here on behalf of the committee, I would like to thanks for your cooperation, presentation, and all the good response from audience, so that the discussion running well and meaningful. We hope all of papers will be published at ICENIS proceeding in 2021. We hope to see you again at the next ICENIS International Conference. Always success and get lucky for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bray.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yeah.
So I will count down. 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again. 3, 2, 1. Thank you for all the participants.
Okay. Yes, you're welcome. See you next.
See you next too. Have a good day.
Okay, good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Amir.
Yes, you're welcome, Gayatri.
You, Pak Amir.
Gayatri. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Amir.
Yes, Miss Julie. Good luck.
Thank you very
Mr.
much,
Amir.
sir.
Yeah.
Ali.
Okay. Yes. Nice to meet you. See you next.
See you next.